Good afternoon,
A very
madam.
warm welcome to you, sir.
Sure, sure. So we'll be starting in 1 minute. We have
Yeah.
pushing people to join.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah,
Fine.
sure. Please change this, rename sir's name. Again, showing mine.
Yeah, somehow it's showing your name.
Yes, I think you joined for my link, so maybe.
Yeah, you sent me link, no? That's the link. Should I join by another link?
No, same thing. We will rename, sir. Your name.
Okay. Alpesh, they are allowed to say, type in the chat box?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
So I will start then. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to day 3 of our 7 days online executive development program. I hope the past 2 days have been enriching and you're feeling inspired by the insights and discussions so far. As we embark on the 3rd day, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible enthusiasm of all our participants. Today, we are honored to have amongst us Professor Dr. M.R.K. Prasad, Professor of Law from V.M. Salgaonkar College of Law. Dr. Prasad is a distinguished legal scholar and expert in legal education clinic with a career spanning over 2 decades. A recipient of the prestigious Vanderbilt Fulbright Scholarship, he has contributed significantly to legal education and community legal aid in India. He served as the principal of V.M. Salgaonkar College of Law from 2015 to 2020 and held key positions such as Dean, Faculty of Law at Goa University, and Professor at the Indian Law Institute, New Delhi. Dr. Prasad has played a pivotal role in establishing community legal aid clinics, earning the college the Institutional Excellence Award in 2011. He has been involved in various national and international initiatives, including the design of human rights practicums and the development of SOPs for legal aid clinics under the Chief Justice of India's guidance. He has also contributed to e-learning platforms, course content, and scholarly publications in leading law journals. An active member of organizations like the Global Alliance for Justice Education, he has coached teams for prestigious international ADR competitions and has held leadership roles in moot court and legal aid societies. With a PhD from Goa University, an LLM from Vanderbilt University, and expertise in subjects like contract, constitutional law, and dispute resolution, Dr. Prasad is a highly respected figure in the field of legal education and practice. We welcome you, sir. The session today is titled Developing Extended Curricular Activities in Higher Education Institution. I am confident it will provide you all with valuable tools and fresh perspectives to apply in your professional endeavors. Before we begin, a quick reminder to make the most of the session by actively participating, asking questions, and sharing your thoughts during the discussion. Without further ado, let us warmly welcome Professor Dr. M.R.K. Prasad to lead us into this exciting sessions. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. And first, let me thank Kalpesh and Dr. Rajashri for inviting me, and particularly for Kalpesh because he always troubles me uh, with the new topics and new ideas. And actually, I would have loved to have all of you in person and have a hands-on experience because it requires at least a day for us to complete this, but I'm trying to finish in an hour and a half. So I'll try to see how I could make it more interactive with the limitations of the technology. I hope everybody has the access to type in the chat box. So I request all the participants, whenever I'm asking a question, I always say this to the students as well as the teachers, that in law college, there is no right answer and there is no wrong answer. These are all perceptions. So therefore, don't fear that I'm trying to assess you. There is nothing. Generally, I ask these questions to get your inputs so that I also learn from you, because I always believe that teaching is always a two-way process of learning. Okay, let me share my screen. So the topic today was asked to me to speak on how do we develop extended curricular activities. What I thought that most of what I'm going to speak, some of you must be doing these things. First, I want to lay a platform why we want an extended curricular activities when we have an effective syllabus, which is prescribed by the Bar Council of India, and we follow religiously that syllabus. Why can't we stop with what we are teaching in the class, and why we need to the extended curricular activities for the students to learn something? Okay, so my first request for all of you is that please respond to this question. Why do we teach? Of course, my first answer will be I'm getting a salary. That is a prime concern for anybody, no doubt. But apart from that, what else makes you to teach? Can I have some quick responses? To pass knowledge? Thank you, Vishwas.
To learn in return.
To learn and return, yes. Anything more? Participant, please speak. So this is why I would have loved to have all of you in front of me. Share your knowledge, better ourselves. Yes. So what not to do to inform to the students? Yes. Not necessarily the syllabus, also life skills, okay, to find the right path.
To learn the educational aspects.
To learn the educational aspect, very good. Increase the knowledge, promote holistic development, to exchange knowledge, wisdom. Right. So you go on typing. Okay. So how do I? So why do we teach? We have already had some idea. If I put that into some of the teaching objectives, one is, of course, definitely we want to transfer the knowledge. But transfer the knowledge can be done by Google also. And we have YouTubes, we have so many other platforms. Therefore, the question would be, what is the purpose of a law teacher in the classroom when the information is widely available through internet with one click on your mobile? So this is where the teacher's role is to make the students think critically, develop the strategical thinking, because as a lawyer, what arguments you want to present before the court and what arguments you don't want, what facts you want to produce, what facts you don't want to produce. The most important thing is the ethical values, how these students transform themselves into an ethical lawyering in the profession. And we also teach the students how to judge, because as a lawyer, you decide which case to court, which argument to present before the court. So therefore, you are judging whether to take a case, whether to put a popular argument. So the student should be able to develop the ability of judging what to do. And of course, what subjects we teach that they need to apply, because that's the difference between a professional college like law college or a normal BA, BCom, BSc, isn't it? Because whatever you learn in the law college, you are supposed to apply to a case in the court. Decision makings, the lawyers essentially has to take decisions. You all know how difficult many people have in taking decisions. I know that Dr. Rajeshri would understand as a principal that she has to take decisions, and it's very easy to sit the other side and criticize the decisions, but when you are given a chance, how do you take a decision? And the most important thing is the skills. As a lawyer, you need to perform in the profession. Therefore, at least certain skills that a lawyer required should be learned from the law college. You don't expect them to learn everything in the profession, then they don't require to come to the law college. And the most important thing as a teacher, that you need to motivate the students to create something new. So this is a very important, highest skill that a student should learn, not only in law college, but any college, is that whatever they learn, they should be able to create something new. So if these are our teaching objectives, why we teach, in addition to whatever you said, of course, whatever you said is also very important, but I picked up only for what is important in the law school in the student perspective. Okay. Now I am giving you two pictures. Now tell me which picture depicts the role of the teacher according to you, whether the first one or the second one. The first one where the jug and glass. Second one is where the child is playing with the adult. Okay. Second, two. Can somebody say why you are picking second, not the first?
Am I audible?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So because teaching is never one-sided, as we can see in picture number 1, the action is quite one-sided, where only the jug is pouring and the glass is being full. Wherein the other picture talks about a constructive model where both are putting in efforts and building something together, which is not happening in picture number 1. So that's why the second picture justifies the role of teaching better.
Excellent. So that's what we look at. The traditional role of the lawyer is depicted under the first one, where you see that the jug is powering the knowledge. If you see the water as a knowledge, jug as a teacher, the teacher powering the knowledge into the student as a, which is true maybe when I'm studying, but now the knowledge is not the only thing that you need to transfer. The changing role in the second one is that it is an experiential learning. That means the teacher and the student as a collaborators in learning. It's a collaborative learning process. The teacher will teach you, the student, how to learn by doing it. While doing so, the teacher also learns from the student. So therefore, it is a two-way process. And even though first one is still relevant, but the second one is more appropriate to today. Therefore, we expect the law teachers not to become the one, but to the second. Then the question is what we teach. Now, this I'm not asking you because most of the colleges you don't have any control unless you have, you are a national law school or you are a university yourself or you are an autonomous college. You don't have a control on what you teach. The subjects are already decided by the Board of Studies. The syllabus is decided by the Board of Studies. All those things. I do agree. But wherever you have a chance, you could change it. But then, how do we teach? I believe that this is in our hand. The teachers can decide how to teach. If somebody gives me a constitutional law, how do I teach constitution? It is purely in my hand. Okay. There are various methods in which we teach. These are some of the methods. But predominantly we use the lecture. Probably 95% we use lecture method. And I do believe lecture method is the mother of all methods, not all. But we also understand as a teachers, the lecture method has certain limitations. Because you remember what are the purpose of teaching, we identified so many things that critical thinking, creating, etc. So the lecture method would not be enough. We have case methods, problem methods, Socratic method, simulations, role play, clinical method. Storytelling is a very effective method of teaching, particularly negotiation, mediation, client counseling, etc. Even jurisprudence can be taught with the stories. Constitution could be taught with some of the stories. We use a lot of stories in teaching. So therefore, there are so many methods, and particularly that flipped class and team-based learning is the new methodologies that have come, where the teachers reverse the role. The students will learn and come, and then the teachers started asking questions and making them to learn. These are all various methods in which we teach. Why do we want to use these various methods of teaching? I think most of you must be familiar with this figure, this triangle. This is called as a learning pyramid. Now, what this learning pyramid shows, if you are taking a lecture, say for example, an hour lecture you are taken, whatever you taught to the students, only 5% of that lecture could be retained by the students. So the average student retention rate is only 5% when you use lecture method. If you allow them to read and come, they will retain 10% what they read. If you show something, they will retain 20%. If you demonstrate 30%, if you teach them in a discussion in the classroom rather than one way, like how we are discussing now, about 50% you retain, and practice doing is 75%, teaching others is 90%. That means in a process of teaching, the teacher learns more than the student. See, if I teach a particular topic in an hour program, 90% of what I taught I'll remember. So therefore, the seminar methods that we use, asking the students to make presentations, are very effective method of learning. They will learn at least 90% of what they present in the class. So if this is the retention rate, then we need to look into whether our teaching in the classroom is sufficient to make the students as a good lawyers useful to the profession. Okay, so keep that in mind. The question that I'm asking you is, as a teacher, what you think? You think it is yours is a law school or a lawyer's school? When I say law school, as a teacher, my duty is only to teach the law and get out. But if I feel that it is a lawyer's school, the teachers also has to inculcate the lawyering skills that the law student requires. So therefore, can I have again in the chat, if you agree, if it is one law school, if it is two lawyer school, just put 1 or 2 according to you. When I studied law, I'm talking
Law
about
school.
1987, it is the first.
It's a law school.
Law school? Okay.
Yes, sir, law school.
But most of the people are talking about 2, 2, 2, okay, 1, 3, law school. That means you think that law school will teach only the subjects which are in abstract to the students, and then the students will learn everything from the profession. And that was the thinking of the academia, maybe in 1980s. When I did my law, I studied 18 subjects in 3 years, never been any practical paper. If it is only a law school, why are we talking about practical papers? So Even though it looks, most of us look it as a law school, we need to understand it has become a lawyer's school. That means a student who join in the law college need to learn the skills that lawyer required because he or she directly going to the profession. Of course, now there is a bar examination, and we all know how the bar examination is conducted and what is the standard of the bar examinations. So therefore, when a student is joined in the law college for 5 years or 3 years after the graduation, what are they going to do with these 5 years or 3 years in the law school is not just learning the law in abstraction or in theory, because the same question I used to ask these students, at least 95% of the students feel that this law school should be a lawyer school, not just law school. That means they need to learn certain skills that are required for a lawyer. So therefore, on whom this primary responsibility? Who will inculcate these skills? Who will teach these skills to the students? Obviously, it is the law teachers. There is no other answer for it. Whether you like it, whether you are equipped, whether you are not equipped, it doesn't matter. Because when Bar Council told us to start a legal aid, we started legal aid. When Bar Council told us to teach negotiation, mediation in practical manner, we started. We cannot refuse to say that, saying that we don't have an expertise. Yeah. So therefore, once we have agreed that it is a lawyer school, then the role of the teacher has changed. Now, how does we understand that? Is that I always believe that there is a gap between the law school and the legal profession. That means what you learn in the law college and what do you practice in the court or in the profession, there is a gap. I'm not saying whatever they learn in the law college is irrelevant, but what I'm saying is there is a gap. There are two types of gaps. One is there is a disjunction between the law and society. That means it is nothing to do with the law college, but generally there is a disconnection between law and the society. What do I mean by disjunction between law and society is the values of the law is different from the values of the society. I'll just give you one simple example. In case of a crime, the society wants immediately the culprit should be punished. But what is the value of the law? Unless proved guilty in clear terms, accused is innocent. The accused should be given fair chance. That means justice may be delayed, but it cannot be denied. So there is a clash. So what we talk in law, what society wants, there is a distinction. There is also a gap between the law in theory and law in practice. That is what we teach in the law college and what is practiced in the court. There is a gap. Okay. So whatever you learn in the law school, that is not sufficient for the students to practice in the court. That's we all understand that it is true. Because the students are cut off from the professional realities and social realities. Now, how can we teach reservation, right to equality, untouchability when the students have absolutely no idea of what is happening in the society? Does the student go and meet the community members and see what is the injustice that is caused? Does the students really understand what is the impact of a contract? Does the student understand about the environmental law that we talk about, labor law that we talk about? Because they have no experience or what I call is an exposure to those realities, social realities. So they are neither exposed to the professional nor to the social realities, unless through internship, through legal aid programs, etc., we make them to. And also, if you look at the law schools, mostly law schools will have very narrow focus that we teach certain subjects that too with the help of the important decided case law by the Supreme. But all cases are not decided by the Supreme Court, and whatever happens in the whatever we teach in the subject may not be exactly very important in the profession. one simple example, we teach Negotiable Instrument Act almost for a month or so, but section 138, which is the most important aspect of the practice, how much we teach. So I'm not saying that the student should not know about Negotiable Instrument Act. It is required. The background is required. But also what we focus in law school may not be the focus of the profession. So therefore there is a gap. And also the teaching methods that mostly we teach through teaching methods. So therefore, why I'm raising this issue is not to criticize anyone, because I'm also part of you. I'm also doing the same, but to understand that this gap is existing. Once we understand that this gap is existing, then we will think of how to bridge this gap or how to narrow the gap. I am not saying that we can convert a student into a lawyer and directly send, but we can convert a law student into at least 60–70% of a lawyer. The remaining 30% he will learn from the profession. That's what my expectation. Okay. So therefore, the role of the law college or the law teacher is to understand that law is not a simply an academic discourse. It is a profession that requires a performance. That's number one. That means the law students, what are they learning in the law college? They need to perform what they learn in the profession. That's one we need to understand. Second one, we want to also understand that the lawyers that we are producing must be socially relevant. That means if the students are not graduating with the social concern, then there is no use of such law. So a lawyer may be a great mind, but if he is no use for the society, then it's not worth producing. If you read that there is a Carnegie report on American law schools, it was published in 2010 or 11. One of the strong statement that comes is that American law schools makes the law students smart without any purpose. So the moment you join in the law college, make them to think like a lawyer, but then you don't teach them how you should be socially relevant. So you become smart is no use unless you are useful to the society. So therefore, think these things. And the next thing I'm going to focus is on the curriculum. The most important thing that in the college we talk about curriculum. First, let us understand what is a curriculum. Curriculum means all those subjects that we are offering in a law school. Suppose in a 5-year course, if I am offering 10 subjects in a year, 50 subjects becomes a curriculum. This is what we understand what is a curriculum means. But it is more than that. There are 5 aspects of curriculum that as the teachers and as the principals or the administrators, we need to understand when we say the curriculum of BA LLB or the curriculum of LLB degree for 3 years course means it has 5 sets. The first or the starting point of the curriculum is a curriculum is a set of objectives. That means when you are creating the curriculum, the first thing that you need to understand as an educator is that what are the specific educational goals and objectives of my curriculum? That's the first starting. The second one is the content. That is the number of subjects and each subject, what are the modules that we have. This is the second part. The third aspect of the curriculum is a plan. Plan is like how do you teach the subjects? How many number of hours you will teach? What is your teaching plan? Every hour, what I'm going to teach? How am I going to divide my subjects into so many classrooms and what am I going to do? This is the third. The fourth one is curriculum as a document. That means this everybody does. We will say that we have 50 subjects. Each subject is divided into how many modules? What is the assessment and what is the examination? How are we going to mark their assess the student performance? All those things we write as a document. And most of you know, because now the NAC accreditation is more important for most of the colleges, you will be doing this. And the fifth one is experience. This is what we generally miss. What kind of experience I'm going to give to the students in learning the curriculum in my school? So from narrower to broader. So look at this equation. When I'm saying curriculum as a set of objectives, what is the goal or objective of your BA LLB program or your LLB degree program? Then, if you identify the goals, second one is you are creating the content. Now, whether your content is in align with the goals and objectives, you have to see. Suppose if I'm saying my goal, one of the goal is to create socially relevant lawyers, whether your curriculum contains that. Your content reflects that. That's the second. Third part is, okay, your goal is identified, your content is identified, whether your teaching methods are in alignment with the content and the goals. If I want to make them as a lawyers, whether my teaching method of lecture method, would it sufficient, whether it require more teaching methods. Then curriculum as a document, then comes the assessment. Am I assessing their memory power? Am I assessing their analytical power? So what is my examination system does? Does it reflect what I want? And the fifth one is, in addition to that, what are my activities in the college? Whether my moot court, whether my client counseling, trial advocacy, whatever. What kind of activities I'm designing for the students to achieve the goals? So extracurricular activities, learning environment. What kind of learning environment I'm going to create? Because we are expecting the lawyers are supposed to question the injustice that happens to their client before a court. Do we allow our students to raise their voice in my college, in my class? Do I allow my student to raise questions? Do I allow my student to raise any grievance against the teacher? As a teacher, I am open to any criticism from my students, my peers, etc. Because that is what you are making the student to become a lawyer and question. So what are my other cultural experiences in my college? So therefore, understand that the curriculum is not just what the subject syllabus is. Subject syllabus is only the content, one part. So from objective to the experience, it is from narrower to the broader perspective. What kind of experience I create? What kind of activities I create in my law college to make the students' learning experience is much higher to reach my objectives. So that's what we need to remember. Okay. So I'm taking a little more time here. I understand that when it comes to the contents, you don't have a control. I agree. To a large extent, the teachers have no much control on content or the course study. But the plan, the experiences, those are the two important aspects that has in control with the teachers and of course with the principals and the administrators. So therefore, the principal or the administrator or the vice chancellor, whatever the name you call, with the teachers need to have these plans and experiences to design in such a manner that it gives a holistic learning experience for the students. And please don't tell me that or don't start saying we don't have resources. And most of these things doesn't require resources. Okay. If you want to conduct inter-class moot court competition, it doesn't require any resource. Zero resource basically. If you want to conduct national competition, that's a different issue. But that is not what we are looking at. What we are looking at is how are you giving an experience for your own student. Therefore, if you want to do a class activity or if you want to do an inter-class activity, it doesn't require much resources. You may require other resources, like you may require a little more time and other things that I will come to that. Then also we need to understand the learning objectives. I think most of you are familiar with the Bloom's taxonomy. And Bloom's taxonomy, I am taking only the first one, the cognitive domain. That means, what are the stages that the student should undergo when the student attend in your class? So Bloom identifies 6 stages. The lowest one is remember. That means whatever you teach, if the student remember, the student has reached the first stage. That means if I teach Donag versus Stevenson, they will be able to remember the case and the facts of the case. That means they have reached stage 1. If they can able to tell me back the case in their own words, understand the principle on their own words, they have reached the second stage of understanding, which we call it as a comprehension. They comprehended what you taught. The third stage is they should be able to apply that principle to another case. Suppose after teaching Donag versus Stevenson, if I had given them a problem that I have purchased a ceiling fan and the ceiling fan was broken and it fallen on my head and I got injured, whether I can claim compensation based on Donag versus Stevenson. If they can do that, they have reached the third stage. The fourth stage is analysis. That means what happens if the beer bottle is not opaque, if it is clear, would they be liable? Okay. Can, after you teach Article 12 to the students, would they be able to say whether Saundarya Law College is a state to file a writ petition? That is what the analysis is. Okay. Then comes to the evaluation. Evaluation is, suppose we say that after the Donag versus Stevenson, what is the impact of the judgment on the economy? Till that time, the manufacturer is not liable, but today the manufacturer is liable. Therefore, the manufacturer has to use a better material, take more precaution. That means it will increase the price. If it is increase the price, the sales will come down. What would be the impact? That is what we are talking about, the evaluation. Then finally, you are creating. That is the final stage. What is the creation stage? Based on that, can you create a new theory, something new? This is where the student has reached the highest level. Therefore, when we are teaching, keep this in mind that the student need to undergo these 6 steps. Hence, whether all these 6 steps are possible within the teaching, particularly using a lecture method in my classroom, and we all know that it is not. Therefore, we create extracurricular activities. So understand the purpose of extracurricular activities. That's why I'm spending a lot of time. The next question, can you all tell me what are the skills that a lawyer requires? Quickly, can you respond? What skills a lawyer requires?
First skill is to listen
Listen, yes,
The-
yes, sir.
client.
Yeah, listening skills, problem solving skills, very good. Samruddhi has
Then argument skill in a proper way.
argumentative skills, very good. Analyzing, reading,
Critical thinking and the ability to interpret the law to suit
yes,
his or her
interpretation of
field.
law, advocacy, drafting, very good. Okay, yeah, communication is a
research
very
skills.
important. Sorry, madam.
Academic and practical research skills.
Research skills, yes. Counseling skills, very good. I think this group is much better than all earlier groups. They have given very important skills. Okay, so we have not made this exercise before making the curriculum. What skills a lawyer required, and based on that skills, we never prepared our curriculum. The only such kind of effort was made by the American Bar Association has appointed a committee called McRae Committee. It was in 1980s. So the 1980s, this McRae Committee has identified about 13 basic skills that a lawyer requires. So interviewing skills, counseling skills, factual investigation, problem solving, communication, listening, language, analysis, research. These are the core skills that a lawyer requires. So why do we identify these? Suppose if a law student who joined in the law college wanted to learn some of these skills. Now we need to, as educators, plan some of the activities to inculcate these kind of skills. Therefore, why am I asking this, or why am I putting this is, whenever you are creating a activity, remember this. Which of these skills I want? For example, if I'm going to do moot court competition or a moot court activity in the college, what skills that the moot court can give? And accordingly, you will prepare them. If I am creating a debate competition, what skills the debate competition? What skills a client counseling will give, or a trial advocacy will give, or a legal aid will give? So that's the idea of identifying the skills. So now I had given few activities that come to my mind, almost about 26 activities I have identified. Most of the colleges may be doing these kind of things, like client counseling, legal aid clinics, legal aid, public interest litigation, trial advocacy, projects, seminars, debates, moot court, surveys, campaigns, research publications, group activities, street plays, reflective writing, library assignments, simulation exercises, law clubs, literary clubs. So there are n number of activities that you do. But my question for you is, when you are doing these activities, how do we design these activities? And the question is, why we design these activities and how do we design it? Why we do design these activities is because of the skills that we have identified cannot be taught only in the class. Therefore, we need activities, right? And I also give some of the elements of legal aid, because this is one of the area most of the law schools have a trouble. We can't start a legal aid clinic because we don't have lawyers with that. See, representing a client is only one element of legal aid. There are legal awareness, legal advice, paralegal services, public interest litigation, ADR, law reform. These are other elements of legal aid. So therefore, when you are creating a legal aid activity, look at, can I do 2, 3, 4? Then I'll focus. It's not necessarily that I should start with one. Okay. So the next question that we need to look at it is, how do we select the activity? Okay. Now, my experience is that don't copy because somebody did it. I went to a particular law college, that law college is doing this great activity, I want to do it. That's not the idea. The idea is to identify the core competency of your school. Like, what is your faculty strength? Not the number I'm saying. What is the strength of each faculty?
So we have
Suppose-
50. Oh,
No,
sorry.
sorry, madam. That's what exactly I'm saying. I'm not asking your number of faculty.
Right.
I'm saying, what is the strength of your own faculty? Suppose I am as a Prasad, what is my strength? Suppose my strength is I am good at legal aid, then I will start legal aid. I'm good at debates, I'm good at client counseling, or I'm good at these things, I'll do. And similarly, what is my institution strengths? My institution is in a rural area, therefore I need to focus something on rural area. Or my students are coming from all over the India, therefore the activity should be something different. But my students come all from my local area, therefore my activity would be a different. For example, in my college, mine is a government aided traditional law college. So we are bound by Goa University, we are bound by Goa government. We cannot have more teachers, the number of teachers is fixed by the government. Everything is done. So we know what is our limitation. And 95% of my students are from Goa. So therefore, I cannot compare with a national law school. Nor national law school cannot compare with me. My legal aid activities are working so well because my students are coming from the community. So I have a better reach to my community, which a national law school may struggle because their students are coming from all over India. They have a language problem. Language is a big barrier. The students cannot go to the community. So that's why I'm saying first thing you need to do is what is your strength. Second thing is, again, recognize your limitations. What is my strength and what is my limitation? So accordingly, I will plan mine. See, a national law school can easily influence a policy at the state level or a national level, but the same level of reach is not there for me. So that's my limitation. And a private university can have any number of teachers they want, depend on them. They may collect more fees. I cannot collect. That's my limitation. So understand competency, understand limitation, then identify that. That means if I want to do this particular activity, do I have competency? Do I have expertise? Or do I have a support? Do I have any limitation on that? And then identify that. Once you identify the activity, as I said earlier, what is the purpose of doing this activity? Activity should not be for the sake of doing it. I will share my experience. We always insisted our teachers to do some kind of an activity in the classroom, a clinical activity, so that they will learn better. That means even if you are teaching a substantive law, try to create some kind of an activity so that the students will learn better. One of the teacher who is teaching a family law has kept a half day for that activity and invited us. And we were shocked to see that she is actually performing the marriage. So the students are dressed in the bride and the bridegroom coming. So that's not the activity a law college look at. So therefore, what is the purpose? If the purpose of your activity is for the purpose of improving those skills, then whether your activity is actually creating that purpose. Otherwise, for namesake, then there is no use. Because activities for the purpose of learning. Then identify who is your target group. If I'm taking the first year students, then my activity has to be simple. If it is a final year students, my activities should have some kind of a complexity. So based on that, or if I'm doing a street play to the common people. Now, one is whether the students have an ability to perform that skit, whether what they perform in the skit is the ability for the community to understand it. So that's what very important. Then identify what is the outcome. By doing this activity, whether the students are able to give learning. For example, I'll tell you a simple example. When I'm teaching contract, I'm teaching the contract for the first year BA LLB students. They are just 18 years, 18 and a half years. Now, any number of times you tell them how to enter into a contract, you would say, I made an offer, be accepted. That doesn't give any experience for it. So we created a simple activity that we created two simulations. One is a seller, another one is a buyer. And it can be anything that they are selling. I created bananas. A farmer wanted to sell the bananas to a person who is wanted to buy the bananas. So we created some factual situation, divided the teams into students into teams of two. So two students will be selling the bananas, two students will be buying the bananas, and ask them, we are given half an hour time for them to negotiate, write down what are the conditions that they've decided. Then we had a discussion in the classroom. What did they learn from that? Then they realized that whenever we are giving an example, A offered to sell his house for 25 lakhs to B and B accepted, this is a contract. It never happens. There would be a lot of offers, counter offers, etc. So that can be taught very easily with a small, simple exercise. Okay. Then you also need to identify the content and the process, get trained. Whomever you want to use, you have to train them on the content and process. For example, if you want to do moot court, what is the moot court? What is the process of the moot court? You need to train the students. Okay. I had given you an example of legal literacy as an activity. How do we do legal literacy? Now, this is one very interesting situation. When you are tying up with legal service authorities, whether state legal service authority or district legal service authority, what they do, they give you a topic. They will say that this is the topic on which we want to do legal literacy. But if I'm doing from my college, we don't do like that. First, we need to look at which community we are targeting. Suppose I'm targeting the students. What level of the students, whether they are 6th standard, 10th standard, graduate students, or I'm going to talk to Mahila Mandals or the workers. So who are the target group? And look at the need-based approach. That means what they need, what they want. And based on that, we select the topic. Then do research, select the students, look at the students, ask them to submit their material, what they are going to speak in the legal literacy program, whether they are up to date, whether they are using appropriate words. Suppose you are giving a legal literacy on domestic violence. Suppose a woman stands up and says, my husband is beating me. Now, what are you going to do? Sorry, we are here for legal literacy. No. So then you should be able to take up that case, follow it up. If not possible, then take some resource person, a lawyer with you who could guide. So that's what very impactful activity is, that you anticipate at least what are going to happen, what kind of challenges it will come, and create that activity. I'm giving you another example of using art form in legal literacy. These are some of the things we have done. That's why I'm just sharing them. Why do we arts? Like painting, comics, and dance, etc. It creates a better awareness. You can address to bigger audience. You can sometimes make the audience to participate. For example, we go to a school and ask them to draw something relating to a particular issue that they are facing. And it is easy for us to create an experience for the students. You can sensitize, you can outreach the community well. Particularly, these things can be used in gender sensitization, religious tolerance, public health, poverty, etc. These are some of the methods we could use for legal literacy: role plays, simulations, street plays, comics, posters, music, movies, storytelling. I'll show you some pictures, but before that, what is the role of the teacher? The role of the teacher is identifying the content, which area you want to do, what art form you want to, and also see whether there is a training for the students. For example, you want to use comics as a way of spreading information. Can the student draw it? If they cannot, can you appoint somebody to train them? Also, art form can be used in the name of pictures. Now, this is a trial court and this is a Supreme Court. Does this pictures make any sense, and does it speak anything? If you look at it, is cramped, one method of looking at, and this is more sophisticated. But here, if you see, the judge is sitting on the highest pedestal, and then the lawyers, the administrative staff, then the lawyers. Then where is the common people, whether the judge is in a higher authority, so that itself will create a fear among the common people. And how does the Supreme Court, that imposing structure, look at those chairs. Look at those chairs. Do you feel that a Supreme Court judge is a common man like you and me if I go to the Supreme Court to get justice? So the art forms, the pictures, they themselves speak. So you could use those kind of pictures in talking to the students. This is one of the activity that we have done using comics. We asked somebody who trained the students in drawing the comics. So these are the students learning in the college. Then they created the comics. Then we had exhibitions. This is on, some of them are consumer, some of them are domestic violence, child rights, etc. So we created exhibitions throughout the state. We also pasted some of them at the vendors' place, shops, regarding consumer rights. Street plays, this is how we have done street plays in many places, beaches. This is another activity that we do in the college is we created clubs, criminal law club, constitutional law club, IPR club, whatever you want you can do. Because see, when I'm teaching constitution in the class, I have a limitation of the syllabus. I have to finish the syllabus, the sword of completing the syllabus hanging on my head. Therefore, if the student wanted to learn more than what is in the syllabus, the only way is outside the class. That is, constitute clubs. Let the clubs are maintained by the students. My clubs are maintained by the students. We have 10 to 15 students in each club. The students, along with the teacher in charge, would create activities. One activity is that we are given a designated place. They have to pick pictures or news items relating to their club. Then they will have talks, they will have discussions, all informal discussions. This is all purely for learning purpose, and don't expect 100 students will turn up. Only the club members are enough. Additionally, if somebody comes, that's fine. So these are posters for that. Then another activity that we do through legal aid is the community capacity building. This activity is building the capacity of the community in identifying vulnerable women, particularly forcing into the sex trade and all, how to identify them, where to, whom to contact, how to connect, all those things were discussed. Given role plays, how to play for the students. The students engage with the community. They go to door-to-door campaign, identifying the problems that they face. So these are relating to the children. For example, in this, they are telling what is child sexual abuse, how do you identify to the children who are very, very small children. Okay. So now, because we are all familiar with the moot court. So I am taking moot court is one example. If you are creating this as an activity, how do we do? Of course, I have taken 2, 3 also extra. So for example, the first thing that we need to learn, if you are doing in the moot court, what are the goals of it? Can the teachers can respond, what are the skills that students will learn in the moot? Research, yes.
To update the student in practical situation.
I
About
am
the
asking, sir,
practical
the skill, which skill, specific skill. Okay, court culture is very good. Arguments. Drafting, yes.
Their skill to independently interpret the law to suit their
Yeah,
side of the case.
yeah, interpretation skills, yes. So therefore, if you are going to start a moot court activity, I won't say competition, moot court activity. First, identify what is the goals of moot court? Why are you doing moot court? I am doing the moot court because the moot court gives these skills to the student. Okay, so I would first identify them. So I identified, not necessarily these are some enough, there could be more. My identification is it improves communication skills, application skills, research skills, advocacy skills, public speaking skills, and drafting skills. So these are the things that the moot court gives me. Therefore, I want to organize a moot court, interclass moot court. Okay. Now, I have to frame the problem. So therefore, yeah, somebody has said courtroom manners. That's very important. Yes, courtroom manners, critical thinking does. Now, if you are framing the problem, how do we frame the problem? Keep the goals in mind. By looking at the goals, do you take hypothetical problem or a decided case? Naturally hypothetical, because if it is a decided case, the student will just copy the arguments available in the case. I remember earlier the Maharashtra Bar Council used to conduct moot court competition. I'm talking about 90s. And they used to send a case name. Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India, argue as if it is not done. That's a moot court. Purpose is not solved. So therefore, why you want, that decides whether you want hypothetical or a decided. If you want only memory and knowledge, then give them a decided case. If you want other skills, give them hypothetical. And when you are giving hypothetical, do you think that the balance of issues are required? Naturally, yes. Otherwise, the arguments will not be there. And I have seen number of moot court cases. Now it is really horrible. And one of the lawyer says, moot court is a best example how not to argue in the court. So moot courts have become dramas. Moot court have become a fashion now. And if you see, some of the problems are 15 pages, 20-page problems. And there is no substance in it. Okay, so therefore, please understand how do you frame. Understand the limitation of the moot court. What is the limitation of the moot court? Suppose you are giving a criminal law. Any question was asked, FIR copy do you have? You cannot give. Right? So we need to understand that limitations of the moot. Understand the limitations of the student. Sometimes the students coming from very rural area, rural background, or sometimes the students who never had this experience of talking publicly, now you are asking them to do it. They have language barriers, they have stage fears. All those things you need to consider and encourage. Limitation of the college. Of course, now it is not much difficult, but earlier when we used to give any moot court, any relevant cases, there are only one AIR would be available. Today, of course, you are having multiple entries by digital things, so you don't worry. But suppose some of the books that are available in the library is not sufficient, then you need to understand whether the college should buy the new books. The limitation of the teachers, how many teachers would involve. And invariably, there would be two or three teachers who would be overburdened with this. Because many students would come to only those teachers because those teachers help them. Other teachers, they don't discourage, but they don't encourage. Then they don't. So therefore, the number of teachers that you have, a number of teachers involved in the moot court activity, that makes important. So while you are framing the problem, identify the subject. If they are first year students or second year students, they have not studied the advanced law. Therefore, whether we give a tort law, a contract law, or a simple criminal law problem. So you need to identify, select the area, look into the gaps, controversies, new development. Based on that, you should create a moot court. Then while you are creating, you find out whether the jurisdiction, because I have seen some of the moot court cases, they don't tell what jurisdiction it is. They simply say they went to the court, whether they went to which court. All those things you have to see. Okay. Similarly, if you are doing a client counseling, because client counseling is a very important activity because moot court comes much later. In a lawyer's life, moot court is the final argument. But for that, he should have a client. He should have a case. So therefore, if you are conducting a client counseling, now you want to frame a problem. I will show you a problem later. Usually when you are doing a client counseling, what we do is we create a factual situation. Unlike moot court, this is much more simpler. Client counseling gives a factual situation. There should be some logical facts. Then in the facts, you will narrate an incident. For example, if you are giving a torts case, you will say so-and-so person traveling in so-and-so bike, and then while he's driving, met with an accident in a particular place. What happened after that? Which hospital he was joined, etc., etc. Then you create an additional information. Then you will check the dates and look at the conflicting facts. I had given you a simple problem of client counseling. This is actually a real case that I made into a simple. So if you look at this is a case of laborers who are walking to their workplace when a live electric wire which was snapped, it was lying on the ground, which they have not seen. The husband stepped on that and got electric shock and he died. So I narrated the story. We said that he was taken to the primary health center. The doctor pronounced him dead. Then I contacted my employer. My employer visited and helped in completing the formalities. And he supported in funeral. But now my husband died. He's a breadwinner. I don't have any money in my hand. My employer is only showing sympathy. Nothing he will do. So my friend told me that you're a good lawyer. So I came to. So this is the facts that somebody narrate to a student who is acting as a lawyer. Okay. Now the lawyer has to collect proper information from this client and counsel the client. And I also created an ethical issue there. Because how do you teach ethics? Ethics cannot be taught. Ethics has to be learned by the student. So I had created an ethical situation where the woman says, I don't have money. If you win the case, take some percentage, which the lawyer is not supposed to accept. So whether the students have understood that is an ethical issue and how did they handle it. Then I create additional information because this information the client will not tell unless the lawyer asks. So you are teaching the lawyer the probing of the skill of probing the facts. Now you will say that when the incident happened, what is the age, why the electric wire was snapped, whether we have dependents, what is the salary of the wife, how much money you are expecting, from whom you are expecting, these kind of things that you ask. So that means the lawyer probed the client to get elicit the. And based on that, the student lawyers would counsel the client. The client could be your own student. You are giving this to your student client to read and go and perform. It's a simulation. Okay, so with this, the students would be able to understand that how difficult or what kind of skills that the student require to elicit the information from the client. Okay. Then every activity, of course, not necessarily every activity you need to assess, but if at all you have an assessment, then as a teacher, we also have to develop rubrics for assessment. Means what are the parameters for. This is for client counseling. We elaborately developed rubrics on which we were going to assess them. These things you need not worry. These things you can go and check from various competitions, look into their scoring criteria, marking criteria. From there, you pull them, combine them. Also remember, what is the purpose of conducting this? The purpose of conducting this would be the rubrics. So I'm saying whether the lawyers received the client with respect, whether lawyers explain confidentiality, lawyer allowed the client to narrate, whether the lawyer demonstrated active listening, does the lawyer asked right questions. So these are some of the parameters on which you will assess them. Okay. this is another method of assessment. Like criteria is preparation. Now, in the preparation, thoroughly prepared with relevant questions, 4 marks. Mostly prepared but missed some minor details, 3 marks. Some preparation is evident but missed key elements, 2 marks. Poorly prepared, 1 mark. So that means you are creating a rubric which is easy for you. You just tick. So after I watch the student performance, I can immediately do it. For example, on communication skills, whether he communicated very clearly, he listened actively, responded to all the questions, I give 4. Generally clear, listened, but there is minor lapses, 3, like that. So the advantage of this is if you are developed a rubrics which are elaborate, it is much easier for you to assess the performance of the student. And the advantage with this is you can tell the student that you are excellent in communication skills, but you are poorly performed in professionals. Therefore, this is the place where you want to improve, right? So the student is good some places, poor some places, excellent some places. So if you give that feedback, the student would be able to learn. Now, do we need this kind of thing for every activity? May not. That depends on you. If you want to assess them or you want to give them a feedback, definitely you have to have a rubric. If you don't want, then that is not it. Similarly, even the client, whether the client is confident, whether he has showed nervousness, no nervousness, whether he had a good command in language, whether the client voice is heard clearly, etc. So you can give parameters for everything. Okay. So therefore, every activity, whether it is a debate competition, whether it is something else, trial advocacy, etc., can create the rubrics. Now let us come to 2 important people in the activities. One is the teacher, second one is Madam Rajeshri, that is the principal. Okay, all principals, I'm saying. Okay, the first one is the role of the teacher. What is the role of the teacher in the activities? First thing is, as a teacher, we need to be innovative. We have to bring innovation. Don't go with the flow. You need to swim against the flow. So think, bring new ideas and experiment. The moment as a teacher you are fearing about your failure of any activity, you are no more a teacher. So as a teacher, I should innovate, I experiment, and I am ready to face failures. All my activities are not successful. Some are very successful, some are moderate, some are duds. So because it is failed doesn't mean I made it's wrong. No, I will learn from the failure. Okay. And how do I learn from the failure? I must be open to the ideas. That's very important. So when my colleague says, oh, this doesn't look nice, or maybe this somewhere this is wrong, I should be open to that. Now, open to the ideas not only from my colleagues, but also from my students. Can I learn from my junior teachers? Absolutely. Even today, I ask my other teachers who are much younger to me if I don't have an expertise in that. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. I even ask my other teachers who are teaching the same subject, sharing, we always discuss. And after teaching more than 30 years the Constitution, I still have my doubts. I would learn from them. And involve the students. Involving the student means make the students own it. When I was a principal, the students wanted to start a debate club. Till the time they used to conduct debate, but it is done by this teacher controlled environment. So the students came and asked me that they want to start a debate club managed by the student. They are okay, open with a teacher in charge for that. We agreed. There are 10, 15 students who joined in the debate club. Their duty is to conduct the debate. Now, my only condition for them was, I don't want you to conduct debate as a strict sense. So they said, okay. They did conduct debates in the canteens. They did conduct debates in going to one classroom. They did wherever they want. And I have not controlled any debate issues. And it so happened, we had a student council election. And I was very strict with the student council election. I said, no campaigning. We will declare a particular day. We will not tell you. Next week is your election. Any day the election can come. So one final day, we said there is an election. We told the students, whoever wanted to contest the election, you contest. And we had given the students to speak in the class. But we did not allow any further things. So I told the students that as being a law students, you know how to be democratic. You know how you should be fearless. So there is no need for somebody to push you or pull you. So the elections were completed. The next day, the debate club came to me and said that they want to debate whether the election conducted in Salgaonkar Law College is democratic or not. I said, yes, go ahead. And I told the teachers not to attend that. So let them speak freely. Then this they conducted, and then they came back. Then I asked them, what is the final outcome? Sir, we felt that it is not democratically conducted, but this is the best election by so far, because otherwise there were so many other unnecessary things are happening with the political parties and all. So we are happy. So you need to make the students own the program. So if you start an activity, let the student own it. My international mediation competition is an idea, came from the students, executed by the student under the supervision of the teachers. So this is the 10th edition now happening there, tomorrow. So it happens if you allow the students to own it. That what I mean is, give them freedom, but tie one rope and keep that rope in your hand. The moment they are going out of the way, pull them back. That's what And the most important thing is the feedback and critique. Now, I would like, instead of feedback, I would like the word critique. The teacher has to critique the performance of the student. The purpose of the critiquing is to identify where the student has to improve. So how does the critiquing does? Critiquing is done with starting with the positive things. Means, what are the things they did well? So you start with the positive note of the student. You have done excellently, received the client. You have done really good with the confidential class. You are fairly good. However, I felt this is the area that you need to improve. Don't say that you did badly. These are the areas I feel that you should improve. At the same time, you also take a feedback from the students. How is your activity? And the teacher need to be proactive. Very important. You have to be proactive. And the next one, please share your experiences, experiments with other teachers. Now, this is one habit I have seen in most of the colleges, that I do some activity, I don't want to share with the other teachers because other teachers will copy me. Why should I share my knowledge to them? The knowledge need to be a fountain, but not a reservoir. It has to flow. The moment you share it, one good thing, they may give you feedback, you will improve. If they copy, it will put a challenge for you to identify a new activity. I can give you 100 reasons why to do that. One reason, every year we know that there is one movie that is super blockbuster on love, teenage love, whatever love it is. How come every year there are 10, 20 songs that they are super hit on love? Because the human mind is such that it can never be run out of ideas. So share what you have done. That would put you a challenge to innovate. And the last one is, it's a two-way process that you also learn from the doing it. Okay. Then the role of administrators, whoever is the principals in this forum, if they are deans, head of the department, senior teachers, etc. You need to support the faculty. Is not only support the faculty, encourage the faculty to innovate. And as a leader, we need to motivate. So, as a principal, of course, I have been a principal for 5 years. Then afterwards, I came back for teaching. I understood one thing as a teacher, as a principal, or as a vice chancellor or director, whatever it is, you should have a large heart, big heart. Okay. So you need to motivate the teachers, allow some wild ideas, don't snub them, try to make those wild ideas into a good ideas. That is where the leadership quality comes. So principal or the director as a supervising the teachers in that they are doing a proper activities, that the principal need to be flexible. Sometimes if I want to do activity, my one class is not enough, so give me an additional class together, or I need some other teacher to come with me, like a collaborative teaching, allow those kind of things. And recognize the teachers who are doing it. There is no need to give them a trophy, but at least in the faculty meeting, you should recognize that these teachers have done some good activities. It's always nice. And one important aspect is that once an activity is completed, if it is a big activity, there should be a discussion in the staff meeting openly, how this went, how to improve it, not to criticize the teachers. If it is a small activity, the teacher themselves will conduct some kind of a feedback, critiquing within the group. How, say for example, if I conduct a simulation, after the simulation is over, I will ask the students, what did you learn? How did you feel? Is this, you learned these things? Did you enjoy this activity? All those things in it. How do we improve this, etc. Okay. This is my last slide. Before you do any activity, make a trial. So if I'm doing a game, I do a lot of games for teaching negotiation and mediation. I take few students, 3-4 students, or my staff, the teaching faculty. First, I will do that game on them, and then take the feedback and see whether the game is working or my simulation is working. Then I improve and then take to the classroom. So with that, your failure rate would be much less. So trial run is always necessary. I think that's it. And any questions I would take.
We see there are
I
a
think
lot
there
of
are some
questions.
questions were
Yeah.
already asked.
Yes.
A lot of times college focus solely on completion of the syllabus within the time, limiting the teacher's creativity, justify the true economic and the scope of the subject, how to overcome some challenges. Okay. And now that's what I've said already, that always we have a sword that is hanging on our neck, because as an administrator, as a teacher, I always think completing syllabus is very important and the student don't learn on their own. So as a teacher, you need to understand that they are come to a professional course and they also has to learn on their own. Therefore, your duty is to give the basics and remaining them that the student should learn. Suppose if you still have, then the activities has to be conducted outside the class. Then the question is whether the students are available or not. But I would say, instead of just for a namesake that you are completing the syllabus, create an activity on a particular syllabus and say that the syllabus is completed, remaining is you have to write. Okay. Encourage this, sorry, there is one more question. Encourage students of today's age to engage into extra reading, considering the fact that, that their respect is going up and down.
I would like to take some couple of oral questions
Yeah.
because some of
And
them are just
see, in case of reading habits, I do understand that the reading habits have lost for most of the students. So that's why you assign a simple reading of a page or something and start asking questions on that, asking the reflecting. That is called the flipped classroom. Okay. Yeah, you can allow some questions, Kalpesh, if you many.
yes, sure. There's Dr. Mamta Goswami. Over to you. Yes, Dr. Mamta.
Somebody asked about attendance. See, attendance is very low because, of course, I do have this problem, and also it large to depend on the some teachers also. If you are teaching something more than what is available in the textbook, then the students will be happy to come to your class. So that's why bring lifetime experiences, live examples, what is happening in the society, connect with your subject. That's how you would make students interested.
Dr. Mamta, are you there? We can take another question. So, how will the activity complement the participant academic or professional growth?
The whole this thing is that only. The activity should be based on what skills that you are trying to inculcate. If you see, for example, when I ask my student, do this activity, they always have a problem. Then you have to explain, why are you asking them? Suppose I ask them to write a diary. They don't want to write a diary. Then I will explain diary writing is learning a drafting skill. This is the purpose. So always tell them why you want a particular act. Is legal education based towards English speaking urban children? Unfortunately, yes, but it need not. For example, in Karnataka, the students can write in Kannada exam. Teachings also done in Kannada. There's nothing wrong. And that is one of my concern wherever I go, because I am the national convener to conduct that international client counseling competition. Wherever I went, I requested that colleges to start a client counseling in a local language. For example, if you are you are a Hindi speaking state, you conduct a client counseling in Hindi. Nobody stops you. But unfortunately, you don't want to do it. I am ready to come and train you. But then I don't know Hindi, but you know Hindi. So I will train you. You create a Hindi moot court competition, a Hindi client counseling competition, a Kannada client counseling competition, or Kannada client counseling at the class level. There's absolutely nothing wrong in it.
Any input from like other institutions, like disciplines, for the extracurricular activity from your side? You experience, you guided non-law institutions. Like
I have done with MBAs, MBA students, particularly the dispute resolution mechanisms can be done for any student. It's not necessarily for the law students. And similarly, the consumer law and environmental law are those areas that we have done with the students. Leadership qualities is another area. Critical thinking is one area that every student, irrespective of law, they should learn. Those are activities.
Sir, actually, the problem between disciplinary and employee should be resolved by in which tribunal?
Sorry, I couldn't get. Can you repeat?
Sir, actually, the by employer and employee should be resolved by which tribunal? The name of the tribunal.
Dr. Samir, I think it's not relevant. Sorry for stopping you.
What he's asking the dispute between the employer and employee, which tribunal you should go. I think there is a service tribunal, then there are high courts and Supreme Court, sir. That is not my expert domain, but you can look at it.
I think, sir, we should,
Should legal education be multidisciplinary or specialized orientation? It has to be multidisciplinary. There is no way that it can be specialized. That is one of the reasons why we are teaching history, economics, political science, sociology. Unfortunately, what happens? Those teachers who are teaching sociology, economics, etc., we need to tell them how they should link it to the law. I will tell you, when I went to US to do my master's, because I am non-native speaking, English speaking student, they have appointed one English teacher for all the students who are non-English speaking. Okay, look at that. So if I want to submit my research paper to my professor in law, first I will submit it to my English teacher. My English teacher would sit with me and read with me and correct my English. What Grammarly is doing now. Okay. So they used to do that. And there is nothing wrong in that. There is no shame in that. Because the idea is mine. Now, whether I'm using a proper English, is, was, her, is, it, that is what she's changing it. She's asking me and telling me, is this what you mean? And then I have seen her expertise has increased in law. She could able to write how to use a plain English in law college. So that interdisciplinary approach is very, very important.
And so one more, like, for an example, obviously I have seen so many examples from you in last, I would say 7-8 years, like community engagement. UGC also that's whatever given the example, connect with people, surroundings, and UGC also come up with the guidelines on community engagement. So all example you stated very well relevant, and other schools also.
See, that's the
Yes.
problem. The UGC tells you to adopt the village. What are you doing by adopting village? So that the teachers has to think and the students has to think. And this is common for all the courses, not only law college. Suppose you are an arts college, what are you going to do by adopting the village? So you have to think.
Sometimes there's, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Suddenly, I got a lot of, I would say integration. Like NSS people will go same village, law people will go same village, bar aage same college. So that's this issue also comes up.
See, that is precisely what we are facing as a legal aid cells also. When they go to the community says there are so many people who came and collected the information and happened nothing. So why should I talk to you? So it becomes very difficult for us to break into the community. It's not easy. Because they will say, this was done earlier also, nothing happened. So that's why you unless you show that there is some result, they won't. That result could come from a small beginning. Just to tell you, there is one social welfare scheme in Goa, which is given for all the senior citizens. So the social welfare department issues a senior citizen card. We are talking about long back. So if you have this card, all state-run buses, you will get 25% discount. The second one, in all government hospitals, they need not stand in queue. They will be given special. Then in all banks, all government banks or the state-run banks, they should be given preference not to make them to stand in queue. So these are two things. And what is required? A card. And what is required for the card? One application with an age proof. Now my students started doing that. And with that, the community started believing that the students can do. And we came to know when we went to a Pattar village, they were asking us how much we should pay. We said it is free. They told us that somebody charged them 100 rupees. I'm talking about 10 years back. So difficult to get communities trust unless you start something.
Thank you very much, sir. So I request Mr. Viswas to give a forum vote. Thank you, sir. Over to you. Yes, Mr. Viswas, over to you.
I think he lost the connection. That's okay, Kalpesh. That's
Mr. Viswas, are you there?
we can't hear.
Is it- So thank you very much, sir. You're spending valuable time. Every time you are available on one message, I would say not a call. And this is something very difficult task. Yesterday we discussed. We have diverse, participants from different disciplines. But again, we can relate, right? Always you told legal it, various social schemes are there, helping ration card and other schemes. That is also part of how you engage and get the real time experience. So those things are very crucial
Anyways, we do.
for this. And then, sir, thank you very much, sir, and look forward to see you in future events also.
Thank you. All the best.
Kalpesh, sir, can I
That's
share my
also, yeah.
vote of thanks?
Sir, please,
Oh,
for one
sorry, I
minute.
think there was a little
So
bit
I'm
of
getting a
internet
double
snag,
vote
yes.
of thanks. That's nice. Okay.
Anyways, a very good evening to one and all. As we come to this conclusion of this third day of insightful and enriching EDP, on behalf of all of us at Soundarya College of Law, it is my most pleasant duty to offer a very sincere word of thanks to our distinguished speaker, Professor Dr. M.R.K. Prasad, for having spared his time to be with us, for sharing his expertise and knowledge. Sir, your presentations and discussions have been incredibly informative and engaging, offering us new perspectives and ideas. I'm sure that all the participants have taken note of your suggestions and will be discussing within their organizations the action to be initiated at their level. Sir, you have inspired us with your insights, and we will continue to look towards you for guidance and further inspirations. Thank you again very much. We are also thankful to Dr. Kalpesh Kumar L. Gupta for his incredible efforts towards advancement, support, and developmental reforms in legal education, without whom this event would not have been possible. Thank you very much, Dr. Kalpesh, sir.
Thank you.
We are immensely thankful to Sri Kirtan Kumar M., CEO, Soundarya Educational Trust, Bangalore, for his valuable guidance and providing platform to students to fulfill their dreams and ambitions. Thank you, sir. And to our dedicated organizing committee, headed by Dr. Rajashri K., Principal, Soundarya College of Law, Bangalore, and convener, Ms. Pranita Pai, thank you for your tireless efforts and meticulous planning. Your hard work behind the scenes has ensured the smooth execution of this EDP. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Pranita. A special thanks to our participants and attendees for your active engagement and enthusiasm. Your presence and contributions have enriched the discussion and made this event a collaborative success. To the technical support team, thank you for ensuring that all our sessions ran seamlessly, both in person and virtually. Your dedication is greatly appreciated. In conclusion, thank you all once again for your invaluable contributions and participation. You have made this EDP an impactful experience. Have a great evening. Have a safe travel home. Thank you.
So thank you. See you all and leave.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.